Yes guys, welcome back on the channel. Today's video idea is inspired by DD Maxwell. Today's video is about my top 5 pound for pound fighters and what I've learned from them. So today's video is going to be things that my top 5 pound for pound fighters done in their fights and in their training to pull off W's and to pull off dominant performances in the ring. So now bro, I'm just going to say it once this video, and now I'm repeating myself. You can really go ahead and train or coach this. So if you're involved in the sport of boxing, these are not my drills. These are drills that I've learned from the best fighters to ever exist in my eyes. And let me just stop waffling and just go over my top 5 pound for pound boxers. Sugar Ray Robinson, born in May 3rd, 1921 in the USA, is widely regarded as the best ever and also claims my #1 spot as the pound for pound best. He would win titles in 4 different weight classes and dominated his natural weight class 147 so bad he would have no options but to move in weight classes. He was about 5'11" and only lost a singular bout in 123 fights against Jake LaMotta, who he would avenge and almost kill, and left him looking like this in the rematch. If you want to watch this fight, it's the Valentine's Day massacre. I've done a study on this, so if you want to watch this fight, just check out the playlist, Studies by Stats and Facts Boxing. You're going to find it. If Sugar Ray Robinson's fights were murder cases, he would have many attempted murders and 1 confirmed kill because he actually murdered someone in the ring. And I don't think that any boxer or any human should get credit for things like this, and I don't think that it should be glorified at all. Right, I think it's a terrible thing if you ask me. I think it's one of the most dramatic things that can happen to you as a person and as a boxer. It's just the reason I'm mentioning it is that is dead ass scary as hell, because Sugar Ray Robinson is that guy. Like if you say he's that guy technically, but he would lose to people due to punching power, he murdered people. He actually killed someone. And he would stop being a menace in 1965 at the age of 44. Now let's go over my number 2 spot. Now, my number 2 spot belongs to Henry Armstrong. He's also my favorite fighter. He's just so inspiring, bro. He's a very inspiring fighter. And I believe him to be one of the all-time greatest, the second best ever, in fact. But for the sake of this video, I'm not going to include Henry Armstrong. Why? I just believe that the video material of Henry Armstrong is sometimes not too nice to watch for the viewer, just because of his style being so advanced. That's the first thing. And secondly, you need to have somewhat the right body mechanics and fundamentals as Henry Armstrong. So teaching drills that Henry Armstrong would pull off wouldn't be, firstly, it wouldn't be nice to watch for the viewer due to the video quality. And secondly, it's very hard to teach, bro, because Henry Armstrong might have the most advanced style. It's the old school art of bending at the waist, old school art of bobbing and weaving, ducking and rolling. Therefore, I don't want to repeat myself. I am going to put Roberto to my number 2 today. But just so you know, my actual second spot belongs to Henry Armstrong. Roberto Manos de Piedra Duran, or Roberto Hands of Stone Duran, the best 135 pounder of his era, was a natural lightweight who was born June 16th, 1951 in Panama City, Panama. Growing up in poverty and having to put stones in his pocket to make the weigh-in, Duran would be so dominant that he would be crowned one of the 4 kings. Duran would retire as one of the most decorated and highly spoken of fighter ever. He would retire at the age of 50 in 2002. Now off to my number 3 spot, and I know that you guys probably won't agree here, but I don't care. He's the fucking GOAT, Evander Holyfield, baby! Evander the real deal Holyfield, born in 1962 on October 19th in Alabama, USA, will go down in history as the best cruiserweight of all time, at least in my opinion, unifying at cruiserweight, becoming undisputed at cruiserweight in the late 1980s, and also unifying at heavyweight, becoming undisputed at heavyweight in the early 1990s, making him the only boxer ever to hold down 2 weight classes as an undisputed champion in the 3-belt era. He would retire as a legend in the sport in 2014. Now, off to my number 4 spot. You guys have to let me know if you even know this guy. He's the best footwork-based fighter ever. He would win fights just off positioning it alone. Right? He would win fights very dominantly with his opponent having no chance at all whatsoever. I'm speaking about my number 4, Willie Pep. Born in September 19th, 1922 in Middletown, USA, he was the craftiest featherweight I have ever seen. And at just 5'5", he would win fights so dominantly and one-sided that the Ring magazine would crown him as undoubtedly the best defensive fighter ever. Pep would retire at 44 in March 1966 with a record of 229-11, which is absolute insanity. That means he has a 95% win rate in 240 fights. Absolute madness. Let's just go over my number 5 spot and then we start right off with a video. You know I don't even do that talking, but my number 5 spot, I need to go over him because it's smoke for everyone. It's Joe Fraser. Born in January 1944 in South Carolina, USA, Joe is a really inspiring heavyweight because at 5'11", or 5'11.6", he would be a comparably small heavyweight and would make up for that deficit with a style that would mean real trouble for his opponents. He would be the first boxer to hold down Olympic gold at 1964 and then also a heavyweight championship title and was the heavyweight champ from 1970 to 1973. He would win the fight of the century and that was a good ass fight. He would win that fight of the century in 1971 against Muhammad Ali. After Joe Fraser started his professional heavyweight career, he will get the nickname Smoking Joe Fraser, which is just a cult nickname. I really like that. It's not because he's smoking his opponents, it's because of his style. It's very nice. His style, he's a very slow starter, right? He's a slow starter trying to figure you out and set you up for the knockout. And then placing smart traps with head movement and waist movement. And because of him setting the traps and starting the fight slow, he will get the nickname Smoking because in the later rounds he would start smoking and really start coming at you with all the smoke. And now let's just start right off with a video and go over Drillerz that made Sugar Ray Robinson Killerz. But no, this channel is so bad. How can you include Joe Fraser? He lost to Ali twice and he also lost to George Foreman. Bro, I got you. I'm going to include fucking Joe Louis as well, okay? I'm going to include Joe Louis. So whoever complains about Joe Fraser being on my top 5, I hope you're good with Joe Louis. You know, the heavyweight GOAT. Skill-wise. Not taking anything away from what Ali done outside the ring. And, man, I fucking love Ali, right? I fucking love him. I mean, what he's done inside and especially outside the ring, that's just great, man. I mean, nothing but love and respect, man. Just get on with what Ray Robinson done so greatly. So now I'm going to explain to you what Ray Robinson is thinking when he's throwing these jabs. So what Ray Robinson taught me, and I think this really is the best boxer ever to show you this very advanced boxing technique. Ray Robinson is using his jab not just as a rangefinder. He's using his jab to see what you're going to respond with. He wants to know how you clock. He wants to know what you're coming back with. So Sugar Ray Robinson is using his jab to trigger a response. That's the sweet science, baby. And now I'm going to show you Sugar Ray Robinson using his jab to trigger a response out of his opponent. And then I'll show you another clip in which he counters that counter. So he's using his jab to trigger a response to then counter the counter. So now you can see that in this fight against Rocky Graciano, Sugar Ray Robinson is throwing his jab to then find out that Graciano likes to parry Sugar Ray Robinson's jab and throw his own jab back at him. So now Sugar Ray Robinson has the intel. He understands that if he throws his jab, there is a jab coming back at him. Sugar Ray Robinson is a master at taking the jab and taking any punch away. So Sugar Ray Robinson can now shoot the jab and anticipate Graciano throwing his jab back. So Robinson is throwing his jab with an intention. He's throwing his jab with the intention of triggering his opponent's jab so he can then counter the counter jab. I know this is a lot, but this is what Sugar Ray Robinson taught me better than anyone else. And there is so many beautiful examples of him taking the opponent's jab away. So what drill can you take into practice or into training? What drill can you take into the gym? If you want to know how to effectively take away your opponent's jab, you need to follow and subscribe to the world-class boxing channel on YouTube. It's Tommy and Killerz. He can teach you those things way better than I can. But to give you an example and just something that you can practice, that you can drill in your training, here it is. So of course you need visualization for this drill. Get in front of a mirror or a heavy bag, throw a jab. Imagine your opponent throwing a jab back at you. That's the first step. And then you throw this combination, jab, overhand, or as you can see here, jab and then jab to the body. In both cases, you're triggering the opponent's jab in your imagination with your own jab. And then you're countering it either with an overhand, backhand, or with a jab to the body. So for the viewer, someone that might watch you training, it's just a simple combination, just a jab overhand or a jab to the body. But people won't understand that in reality, in your head, in your mindset, you're actively thinking about and imagining your opponent throwing a jab back at you so you can counter it with your overhand or your jab to the body. Now let's continue with my replacement for Henry Armstrong, Roberto Duran. So before I actually go into this, let me show you some footage of what I mean by weaving, because I'm going to go in detail about weaving. Look at the fighter in the black trunks weaving under the punches. You see that? He's bending at the waist, transferring weight to his lead side, and then weaving back, transferring it to his rear side. There he's weaving to the lead side. You see that? So weaving is basically bending at the waist and transferring weight from one side to another. Some people call it rolling. Some people say it's drawing a U shape with your head. Whatever technique you might use or whatever you might want to call it, this is what weaving is for me. And what Roberto Duran will do is, look at this. He's weaving and he's dragging his arm with him. So if he's weaving to his lead side, he's dragging his right arm with him to then shoot a body shot while weaving. So you can shoot a body shot with your right hand while weaving to the left side and a body shot with your lead hand while weaving back to your rear side. So as you can see in this clip, Roberto Duran is weaving to the left. And you see that how he's dragging the arm with him, shooting a body shot while weaving. Great thing to do, drill it in training. When you're weaving and you're working on the bag or you're working the mitts or whatever, make sure that you set up your combinations. Or if you want to keep punching after weaving, drag a body shot with you while you're weaving, right? So if you're weaving to your lead side, drag your right arm with you. And if, right there, you see that? You see how he shoots to the body while he's weaving to his rear side? There you can see it again. He's weaving and he's shooting a... You see that? That's a great thing to practice and just drill that, bro. Make sure you drill that. Off to the next fighter, Evander Holyfield. Now, there's a few things that I want to cover about Evander Holyfield. Yeah, man, maybe you can tell by the way I speak about him, but I'm a big fan of Holyfield, man. Big Holyfield fan right here, man. And you know one thing that I need to just point out here. Holyfield, there is two things that I'm going to speak about. And the first thing is the most important thing. I don't hear trainers, coaches, people, I don't hear people speak about this enough. It's your mentality. This is what you can really learn of Evander Holyfield. And then there is also counter punching, right? And one plays in direct relation with the other. So the first thing, your mentality, is your get back, man. When you, look at that. Bro, how can you not love this guy, man? If you're watching a video, just the fight against Foreman. Holy smokes, man. That beautiful cross guard by Foreman there. And back to the point, your mentality, your get back, man. If you're getting hit, you need to make sure that you hit the guy back. You need to make sure that your Holyfield is, that's why people call him the warrior. Holyfield, in his mindset, he's so busy thinking about, I need to make sure I hit a clean punch back the second I get hit clean. He needs to get back. When he gets hit, you can see it in his eyes. It's the most important thing in his life at that moment is to hit the guy back. And that's winning him fights. He's winning the fights. That's if you're getting hit, your opponent that's clean punching. That's in favor of your opponent. So you need to make sure that you show the judges clean punching too. So your mentality, Holyfield is too busy thinking about hitting the guy back than thinking about, oh no, I just got hurt much. Maybe I'm hurt, maybe this, maybe that. I'm not feeling good, I'm hurt. He's too busy focusing on hitting the guy back. You're good, man. You're a machine. The human body is a machine. If you trust in your training, you're good. He can't get you down. That's what Holyfield's mentality is about, man. And I don't hear people speak about this often enough. You need to get back for the stuff that you received. If you get punched, you need to punch back. And now, in that, you need to make sure that you really hit the guy back, right? That's what Holyfield can really teach you. And now off to counter-punching. There's 2 counter-punches that I really like for Evander Holyfield. Evander Holyfield likes to not trade, that's not the right word. The word counter is the correct word. Those jabs, oh my goodness, man. Holy smokes. And that's against George Foreman. Oh my God. My God, man, that's fucking hell, man. Just get back to the point. Evander Holyfield likes to counter the straight backhand with his own straight backhand, and he likes to counter the opponent's lead hook to the head with his own lead hook to the head. Now, let me show you a few examples of this. There's many ways of rolling and defending with an opponent's cross. The way that Evander Holyfield does it here, he's rolling with his shoulder. He's shoulder rolling the cross and shoots his own cross back. When he's on the inside, he's rolling with the hook, and he shoots his own hook back on the inside. Now, Foreman has a good cross guard, and he blocks it with the cross guard. Now, that counter hook works good on the inside. See how Evander Holyfield is rolling? He's turning his hips and shoulders when rolling with the hook, so he has power for his own counter hook. He's incorporating body mechanics, right? He's incorporating body mechanics with his defending, so he's preparing a strong counter with his defense. Now, I can't say this enough. If you want to know how these things are done, world-class boxing channel on YouTube, www.worldclassboxinggym on Google. Tommy and Kello, he is really explaining to you how you can incorporate body mechanics with your defense, so you can set up a powerful counter while defending. So you're not only blocking the shot, you're incorporating body mechanics, right? That's what Evander Holyfield does as well. We already made it pretty far into the video, bro. So now we're off to Willie Pep, one of the most underrated fighters, bro. Watching him fight, if you haven't seen... Listen, bro, before I go over with the Drillerz, yeah? If you haven't seen the fight against Sammy Sadler and you want to see what a vicious, brutal fight with a lot of dirty fighting looks like, yeah, then just watch Willie Pep versus Sammy Sadler 1. Because that fight is outrageous. That would have been stopped early in the fight nowadays. And yeah, man, they've got a suspension for that fight. Like, they had a rivalry. Both are great light boxers. With me favoring Willie Pep, even though Sadler is a crazy guy. He's really crafty, real good at boxing. So I'm gonna use, and there it is. If you watch the video, that feint, that stepping to the left side but then circling to the right. That's one of the 2 things that I'm gonna go over. Speaking about Willie Pep. Willie Pep is in this video, and it's an opportunity for me to teach you guys lateral movement. Maybe I shouldn't speak so highly of myself and say teach you guys. But I can really give you a solid example of what lateral movement looks like and why it's so effective. So now first, before I go over the drill, why is Willie Pep having so much success with this lateral movement? And why is it not a waste of stamina? Circling your opponent is... Listen, Sammy Sadler is a power puncher, right? Sammy Sadler is someone who's really trying to take your head off. And if you're fighting someone like that, someone who's trying to apply pressure on you, lateral movement, brother. Lateral movement. You need to circle your opponent. That's the first thing I'm going to point out. Fakes and feints, not with punches, but with footwork. See how Pep throws a jab and then he incorporates footwork as his defensive responsibility? He feints going to one direction, but then he goes to the other direction. So the drill would be circle your opponent, stop circling him, throw a jab, move out, feint going into one direction, but then circle out to the other direction. Is this really simple? Yes. It's so effective. It's such a good drill. You need to, if you box, you need to start using that, especially against an aggressive opponent. So feinting going into one direction by shifting your weight to the lead side, like you're going to circle to your lead side, but then using that weight to push off and actually fast going to your rear side. That is a great drill. Here is another example. He's circling to his left, makes it seem like he's going to keep circling to the left, but then, he's pushing weight to his lead side and then he's going to his right side, to his rear side. Of course, if you're a southpaw fighter, you can just feint by going to your right side and then feinting going to your right side, actually going to your left side. So I like to use the word lead and rear rather than left and right because, southpaw people watching my videos and everything. So, yeah, man, I hope you can really follow what I'm saying. He just done it again there because this is something, if you understand this is, in my opinion, this is the most effective way to take away an aggressive opponent's best attribute, and that is his pressure. Next time you hear Shakur Stevenson say jumping in is for dumbasses, just see what a good well-placed gazelle punch can really do. So next time someone says jumping in with a gazelle hook is for dumbasses, you shouldn't do that. If you place it well, then you can really put people with the best footwork ever on the floor. So that's just off topic. I'm just saying gazelle hooks are underrated, not overrated. Gazelle hooks are so underrated. So good. And here is a little hint to what I'm going to go over when I'm covering Joe Frazier. So yeah, that's a little hint. Willie Pep does it as well. So the sweet science had a peak back in the days. That's all I'm saying. You don't really see people do this nowadays, but that's a little hint to what I'm going to go over with Joe Frazier. Now to speak about the drill that you can practice this, you can throw a jab or jabs and you take one step back with both feet and then you start circling left. Actually, you start to feint going left and then you use that feint to push off and actually start circling to your right side quickly. And now I'm just going to use my time that I have to really make you understand that this is a drill that isn't just basic and I'm overdoing it by speaking so much about such basic things. I need you to understand that you have to actively think about using this if you're fighting against an aggressive opponent. And would you agree with me if I tell you that a fighter that uses a specific technique multiple times in a fight is mainly doing that for two things? First, it works well for him. And secondly, he's done it and practiced it a lot in training. So that's what Willie Pep has done. He's done this move so many times in training and sparring. So he doesn't have to actively think about, I'm going to lure him into a footwork feint. No, he's not thinking about it at all. It's all muscle memory. He developed this muscle memory with this footwork feint in training. Now off to one of my two number 5 spots, Joe Frazier. So I'm going to cover Joe Lewis later. Joe Frazier. So if you know boxing, this won't be a surprise to you because I'm going to go in detail on Joe Frazier's lead hand. I'm speaking about his lead liver shot and his lead hook to the head. And why Joe Frazier is so good at landing it. So Joe Frazier, first of all, Joe Frazier isn't just shooting it. Joe Frazier is countering with his lead hand after incorporating waist movement. It's waist movement. So let me just break it down. Joe Frazier has found a way to bend at the waist and duck over his lead leg to effectively avoid his opponent's offensive arsenal. So that move, as you can see in these video clips, is effective in defending and countering the right hand, and he can defend and counter the hook the same way. So it doesn't matter what kind of shot the opponent throws at him. It can be a right hand, it can be a lead hook. That move either slips and ducks below the lead hook of the opponent, or it slips and ducks below the right hand of the opponent. So ducking at the waist, bending at the waist over the lead leg, that's what we're going to go over with Joe Frazier. And let me just tell you, bending and ducking over the lead leg, that is nothing that is like special to Joe Frazier. And it is a very significant thing that he done, and it works really well. It's just so many all-time great fighters are using it, bending at the waist over the lead leg, not just the rear leg, to set up powerful hooks to the head and body. Ooh, that was nasty when he just landed against Ali, bro. That's nasty. Let me play that back, bro. Fuck it out. So Joe Frazier, in his cross guard, is bending at the waist over his lead leg, right? He's bending at the waist and at the back. His head is over his knee, and his head is over his knee and his toe, right? He's not bending his waist over his lead leg, so his head is all the way over his foot. He's not doing that. He's bending at the waist over his lead leg, so his head is between his knee and his toes, and he is not bending at the knees. He's bending at the waist and at the back, and he would practice pushing up, pulling the rear shoulder back. That's how he generates power to his lead hand. He is turning out of that position, out of that bent position. He is turning the waist clockwise and pulling the rear shoulder back. That's what he's actively thinking about. And not every singular hook to the head or body is going to be perfect every time, but this needs to be studied well. Joe Fraser is using a cross guard, but look at how he's bending at the waist and at the back against Muhammad Ali to apply pressure. So this move can be a defensive. It can be defensive, but you can also apply pressure using this. You can use this covering distance, man. This is that's some good stuff. So you can bend at the waist to defend and counter, right? You can get below the opponent's jab, cross, or lead hook, or rear hook, or overhand. It doesn't matter. You're going below the punches by bending at the waist over your lead leg as well. It's not just the rear leg. And oh, bro, let me just play that hook back, bro. I was just about to speak about that. So not only is oh man, that beautiful hook. So not only is that waist movement having you move your head and your upper body and therefore making it real hard for your opponent to hit you, you're also setting up a powerful shot, right? So that's what Joe Fraser can really teach you. So you see Floyd Mayweather using bending at the waist over the rear leg and then pivoting out or bouncing back or straightening himself back up. You see him doing that a lot, right? As a defense. But Joe Fraser would use, oh my, absolute smokes, bro. And if you question the effectiveness of this, just watch the first fight against Muhammad Ali. Sparks him out cold, man. And yeah, man, so I'm just going to go over it again. So this can be the drill. Catch the jab with your rear hand, bend over your lead leg, and then shoot a big hook over the top of your opponent's right hand. So this topic, old school bobbing and weaving, ducking and rolling, where Joe Fraser was so good at, and also the cross guard that he would incorporate using the old school art of bobbing and weaving, that's way too complex, and there is way too much to cover for me in this video. If you want to know how it's done, then check out the internet website of Coach Tommy and Keller, worldclassboxinggym.com. He has a video on the old school art of ducking and rolling, bobbing and weaving, and he's going to break all these things down way better than I can. So if you really want to know how it's done and not just, this one drill, then check out the internet website of Tommy and Keller. And now off to my second spot, Joe Louis. Oh man, after really putting some in investigation in Joe Louis' work, I'm so happy I'm including him in my top 5 pound for pound because, oh boy, he's so good. My fucking days, the way he will make people miss by a fucking inch and then counter with a shot that you don't even see, bro. Like, sometimes I've been watching highlight videos of Joe Louis, right? And he's knocking people out. I'm like, wait, why are they dropping? Why are they falling? I haven't seen the punch. Joe Louis is so good at making people miss by an inch and then countering with a shot that you can't really see. So that's exactly what I'm going to go over. And if you know me, you know I'm a student of the sweet science. And if I really want to cover brilliance, technical brilliance, I have to speak about the jab. Catching your opponent's jab with your backhand and then shooting your own jab back is a very common technique in boxing. Why? Because it fucking works. The jab is the best punch in boxing. So the best counter to your opponent's jab is a jab. You need to catch your opponent's jab with your backhand, not just anyhow though. The way Joe Louis would do it is you can imagine carrying your backhand at your chin. You can carry it by the side of your face. I don't mind what stance you're using. It's just imagine you're carrying your backhand right now. And the way Joe Louis would do it is he is parrying it by shoving it to his own lead shoulder. So he's moving the opponent's jab to fly over his lead shoulder. You can imagine moving your thumb into your shoulder. So that movement by dragging your arm, your rear arm, into your lead shoulder, your rear thumb into your lead shoulder, you can also turn your hips while doing that. And then just shoot the jab simultaneously. It's all one movement. So you parry your opponent's jab by moving your rear arm, your backhand, into your lead shoulder, or simultaneously while turning your hips and shooting a jab back. So it's not just catch and counter. You almost catch and counter simultaneously. So let me just find a good video example of Joe Louis doing this. So if you pay attention to Joe Louis' backhand, you can see that he's doing exactly what I said. He is parrying it to his lead shoulder. He is dragging his arm. He's moving his backhand, his rear thumb, into his lead shoulder, therefore making his opponent's jab not just not hit him by catching it, but oh man, let me just explain to you why it's so brilliant. First, you're diverting the punch. Your opponent is used to not hitting the jab, but he's not used to his jab going into another direction. You're breaking his rhythm. Secondly, by parrying your opponent's jab that way, you're preventing reach. You're not reaching. Some people reach for the jab, therefore they're vulnerable to the lead hook. You're not reaching for the jab that way. You are parrying it, and your backhand is still right there in front of your jaw by your lead shoulder. So it's right there to catch your opponent's lead hook if he decides to feint it. That's the brilliance of it, bro. Yeah? That's why Joe Louis is so good. So the second drill is more of a trap. After getting your opponent used to you shooting a jab and then defending moving out, you're shooting a jab and a crossback. That's how Joe Louis got a knockout there. So drill 1, divert, parry the jab, shoot your own jab back, bend at the waist, and then pivot out or just step back and move out. And then the second drill, divert, parry the jab, shoot a jab, cross back. Every singular drill that I explained in this video, you can do this. Shadow boxing, on the bag, on the mitts, with a partner. Just make sure you drill it. It worked out for these all-time great legends. Yeah, man, that's it, bro. If you made it this far and you completed the video, and yeah, bro, that's it for the video. Just one more thing. I actually created an Instagram account. Not for everybody, though. It's Stats and Facts Boxing. So if I know you, if you've been here a little bit, and I've seen you in the comment section before, you can send me a request. And I'm just trying to give something back to you, bro. Like, because if you show me love and support, I'm just trying to be there for you. So whatever it is, if you want to talk about life, boxing, it don't have to be boxing. Honestly, we can just sit there on FaceTime and just roll up a spliff and just smoke and just talk about life or whatever's in your brain or your heart. I'm trying to give something back to you, bro. So if you're here showing love, I'm trying to do the same back. And yeah, man, that's just Stats and Facts Boxing on Instagram. I'm not going to accept everyone. I'm just going to accept the people that I know in my comment sections. And yeah, bro, that's really it, man. As always, bro, keep your head up. Keep going hard, bro. Keep smashing it, yeah? And I'll see you in the next one. Bless up.